is the only father-daughter women's basketball podcast that I know of, and I am Natalie Franklin.
And I am Gregory Franklin, the father.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for pointing that out. We are giving you guys our post-game review of Iowa versus Iowa State, better known as the Cy-Hawk series. This is a long-lived rivalry in Iowa, the state of Iowa. I'm from California, so I have no idea where Iowa is because that is just how Californians are.
You need to find out where Iowa is. You need to
I'm
be
just joking.
okay. All right.
But like that song says, coast to coast from LA to Chicago, and Chicago is not on a coast. That's how we are.
Yeah.
Anything between California and New York, no clue where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is a rivalry. This is a high energy game and a good game because number 10 Iowa State took on number 11 Iowa, and it gave everything it promised to give. It was a good back and forth. We were tied at the half, but that third quarter I think is what did Iowa in, and they never really recovered. And Iowa State won 74-69. And we predicted that Iowa State would come up with a victory because of the living legend that is Audi Crooks. She had a 30-piece, dropped 30 on their head, 10 rebounds, 13 for 20 on field goals, and 4 for 7 from the free throw. Audi Crooks joins Brittany Griner as the only D1 player since 2000 to record 3 straight games with at least 30 points on 65% field goal. No D1 men's player has accomplished this since 2000. Greg, let's get your immediate reaction about this game. What'd you think?
First of all, good game. It lived up to the expectations, at least I felt it did. I was concerned at the end of the third quarter when Iowa State was up by 17. And I felt like, okay, the fourth quarter might be more of a breeze for Iowa State. But Iowa figured it out. They figured out how to neutralize a big part of what was going on with Audi Crooks and her scoring. They actually felt, I think, they felt like since we can't stop the entry pass, we'll double once the entry pass is complete. We'll double Audi. We'll make her make a decision, either kick it out or make her shot uncomfortable because there are 2 people on you. Hopefully, there's some misses, some traveling, whatever. That seemed to work fairly well. I was really impressed with, at that point, Iowa came back and started a barrage of 3-pointers. They also attacked the basket when it was able to be attacked, and able being that, Audi was out of position, couldn't get over to protect the rim. So I felt like that was, another part. I'm still not quite sure why Iowa hadn't scouted, and maybe they did. Maybe they didn't do what the scouting report dictated that they should do. But I'm surprised why the scouting report didn't show that Audi is their scoring. How do we neutralize her? Well, she does most of her scoring in the paint. How do we prevent that or slow that from happening? So that part was somewhat of a surprise for me. The guards on Iowa State are impressive. They make an entry pass look like second nature.
Mhm.
And they're used to getting it down there, you can tell, because they know where Audi likes the ball, and they get it
Yes.
to her, and they get it
Right.
to her in her spot. So,
Exactly.
all in all, it was a great game. The next game they play, though, I have a feeling that Iowa will be ready, more
Mhm.
ready than they were yesterday for sure, and that game may result in Iowa beating Iowa State.
Right.
Those are my initial thoughts, at least.
Yeah, that's one thing I noted from Iowa State is that their guards are really good at entry passes. I feel like every team should watch them for how to make an entry pass. UCLA, in my opinion, is not great at getting Lauren Betts the ball. They specifically should be watching Iowa State and how they give Audi Crooks the ball. They put it up, like you said, right where she wants it, and she goes and get it. And I think about her is she doesn't have the ball long. She is quick to make her decision, which makes her that much more phenomenal. Addie Brown finished with 20 points, and she had 5 assists, and she also had 12 rebounds,
Yeah.
which is for her position. Jada Williams is who's the transfer from Arizona. She actually had 12 assists, which I think is her career high, and 11 points. So I think to your point, the guards really were impressive, really kinda helped Audi out. It wasn't all on Audi, even though Audi did put the team on her back. It wasn't all on her. On the other side with Iowa, I was surprised Hannah Stuelke didn't do a little bit better. I mean, she had 10 points. She did have 15 rebounds, but she ended up fouling out of this game. I just thought maybe, her or her coaches would say, "Hey, you're clearly gonna be undersized, specifically on offense. So let's take you out. Let's spread the floor a little bit. Maybe you can implement your midi, get a pump fake going," but she struggled to find her rhythm on offense.
I think it's difficult. I mean, Audi is a difficult cover. I mean, one, there's some physicality. Also, there's clearly, she has great footwork. She has great footwork down there, and that gets defenders in trouble. Because a big with great footwork makes a defender have to make a decision. Am I just going to make the shot difficult, or I'm going to really, really attack her? In which case, if I attack her, I'm gonna get in foul trouble because she's going to be rolling and moving into me. And a lot of times referees interpret that as, the defender being somewhat, aggressive, I wanna say, but she's a difficult cover. And as I said earlier, for Iowa to not then realize, well, we need to double her. Once the ball goes in, now we need to double her. I think that takes some of the risk out of the whole foul situation because there were quite a few fouls called in this game. There was quite a
Yeah.
few fouls called in this game on the Iowa players, who were trying to guard Audi. So yeah, it was a good game. Again, when they play again, I have a feeling it's going to be somewhat different from the Iowa side.
Also big up to Chit Chat Right. She ended the game with the high over at Iowa with 21 points, only about 3 assists. Again, I just think Audi was too much for them, and to your point, they realized a little bit too late how they wanted to play it. I think what's interesting to note, and they will take this into the next time they have to play Iowa State, and I feel like anyone else who has to play Iowa State should notice this too. Iowa State had 0, a goose egg, 0 fast break points this game. That tells me that this team loves a half court setup.
That's
They
right.
do not like to run.
Right.
They are not a transitional team. They are not getting downhill. That's not to say their guards can't, or they
Right.
they just don't have that style of play,
Yeah.
right? No one's running their lanes. They're not doing all that. They love a half court setup.
Yeah.
And I think that might speak to maybe if on offense, if you're Iowa State's opponent, maybe now you're doing all the running and making them play your pace of game. Like, for example, Iowa State probably wouldn't do good against, let's say, Oklahoma, a team that likes to run fast. UCLA, a team that likes to play fast. Obviously, UConn, a team that likes to play fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they like a nice half court setup. And it's interesting that they still end up losing. And at one point, it was down by 17 to a team that is not running a fast break.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means all their points are literally coming in a half court setup. And to the point you made earlier, which means why wouldn't you adjust your defense? They're not running, like, there's nothing transitional. You don't have to pick up a man, pick up ball. Just play your defense. And I think a zone, maybe a box and one, box and two would really slow down their offense, given that they like a setup.
Yep, yep. And you have to understand why, at least in my opinion, why Iowa State does that. Their offense is Audi Crooks. So you have to wait for her to get down to the other end to get in position for that entry pass. More importantly than that, this notion that the other team members aren't going to be putting up a lot of threes as well. So if you're Iowa or any other team for that matter, I'm not guarding the perimeter as much as, which hence the double team down low. I'm not guarding the perimeter as much as I would have to guard it with a UConn, okay, with a UCLA. So I have to be mindful that they're seeking a half court set. And I don't want them to don't want them to be comfortable. I want to attack, 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 make them run. I want to tire them out because if they're
Yeah.
not a running team, I want to test their I want to test their physical fitness. I wanna
Yeah.
make sure, I wanna see, can you run? And if you can't run, I'm gonna continue to run you.
Right, I think he even talked about picking up court, right? Maybe not so
Well,
much
sure, yep,
doing a whole full court trap, but
yep,
maybe picking up full court. Just anything to be disruptive so they really can't set up in their offense, and I think that really hurt Iowa. Um, we were talking about fouls, when it comes to free throws, Iowa State shot 20, Iowa only shot 12, and out of those 12, they only made 6. So and it's not like Iowa State made a bunch of free throws. They only made 9 out of 20. If they would have made more, this probably would have been a bigger deficit. It was a fun game to watch, but when you look at the statistics, the numbers, the strategy, little all over the place. Like I said, they're very besides Audi Crooks' freaking nature, so I'm leaving her out of this "they're well matched" comment, but on paper, they're well matched, like, none of the number except for the fast break numbers really stood out to me. I just think, like you said, it was about Iowa not really being prepared for Audi Crooks, almost like they treated her like a myth,
yeah.
like a fluke, right? Like, "Oh, well, that was those games, she
Right,
won't do that again,"
right, right,
and
right.
she absolutely did that again. Um I think, the last play when, Iowa had a chance to kinda tie it up, very confusing for me. Chit Chat had the ball,
Yeah,
it looked like she was maybe going in for 2, got it blocked, then they pass it back in, and I can't remember who it was, but someone with 19 seconds left puts up this panic three-pointer and, of course, gets it blocked. It's 19 seconds left. You don't need to get the ball in and panic and shoot. Now, maybe the coach said, "We want a quick basket so we can play the foul game." I don't maybe she thought she'd be the hero. That was very confusing to me because I do like the idea of we're just gonna get a quick 2 and then play the foul game. That probably would have been, the best because they were about 9 for 24 for shooting from threes, but, they kind of broke down a bit in the last few seconds.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't quite know how they wanted to play the last few possessions, and to your point, next game, that won't happen. That
No,
I feel like they won't find themselves in that situation next
no,
game.
no. And that whole play came out of a timeout, by the way. They came out of
Mhm,
a timeout and still had that confusion on the court. It's an interesting I still feel like Iowa's a good team. I feel like actually that they're going to be, in the playoffs competing for a championship at the end of the season. I'm just totally blown away though by the lack of focus, and I'm not gonna say the players, but on the coaching staff. Because you're
mhm,
right, that play, even if you're planning on playing the foul game, even if you're planning on playing that game, that play shouldn't have been drawn up like that.
yeah,
And there should be some clear understanding that we wanna take the best shot within X number of seconds, not a panic shot. If it's not there, it's not there, pass out of it. That's generally coaches talk, right? Coaches speak.
mhm.
But that play demonstrated for me further that there was something going on the bench with the coaching staff, and, coming out of halftime, they seemed to kinda know what they needed to do, but that last play when they pulled back and used a lot of energy, obviously, to get back to where they are, and then to kinda give it away, it just maybe there was some confusion on the bench with the coaching staff.
Exactly, and the person that shot that 3 was Taylor McCabe. The attempt was with 16 seconds left. Again, I
Yeah.
shot clock's off, babe. What are we doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and maybe to your point of the confusion, maybe the coach shoulda took another timeout, and
yeah,
said, "Okay, let's do something different." It just very confusing coaching decisions on Iowa's part, with guarding out Audie, and then, of course, that last couple plays. I thought I thought it was really heartfelt, if you will, that, Audie got really emotional at towards the end of the game at the free throw line because she was thinking about her father, who I believe passed away a couple years ago. Her father and her coach's father both passed away, and they both grew up as big Iowa fans. They used to, like, really engage in this, like, what's it called? What's this, Cyhawk series. So I think the emotions were flowing for both the coach and Audie, and it just shows how much sports means to people, and not only how it brings people together, but it really connects you with your family. Like you and I, for example.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah, yeah,
mother
yeah, yeah,
mother daughter. How much the game means to people, not only just for fun and
yeah.
entertainment, but it's part of a core memory. So I thought that was really sweet that such emotion and memories were evoked for Audie and her coach.
Yeah, it's a community thing, right? I mean, the Iowa community, and Iowa's, in my opinion, is a great basketball state, period.
Yeah.
But it's a community thing, and whether you're supporting Iowa State or Iowa, it's the experience of being community and having that competition, that rivalry, and bragging rights to a certain extent, in places. But yeah, I saw her get somewhat emotional and needed the towel and all that good stuff. But that those kinda games are the best games.
Mhm.
Those are the best games because those are the games you really, really both sides, you really, really want to win.
Right. It was a packed house.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark's parents were there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, they were. Uh, I think they both went to Iowa. I think they both went to Iowa. Don't
Okay. Okay.
fact check me on that, but I feel like that's where that's coming from. I have to admit though, when Audie was crying at the free throw line, I was like, "Oh my god, she's hurt. She's hurt." Because sometimes when a player is hurt, but they
Yeah.
gotta kind of fight through it,
Yeah. Yeah.
they get a little teary-eyed and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm in so much pain." Not that I was happy that she was crying about her deceased dad, but I was a little relieved that she was having an emotional response versus a "I'm in pain" response.
Yeah,
I was
no,
like,
that was
"Ooh, thank God."
that was a relief for sure. But to her credit, she recovered.
Mhm.
She from the emotional response, and then was ready at the end of the game, to celebrate and dap up everybody on both sides. And I really like her maturity. I mean, she's a junior, and I and
Yeah.
I and I like her maturity on and off the court. So good win for them. But let it be known, Iowa is going to come back, I feel like, with a vengeance.
Yeah, Audie's and she's a great leader. I saw, I forgot who it was, did an entry pass for her, and it went out of bounds. Audie just couldn't
Right,
control it, but she
right.
told her just like, "That's perfect.
Yeah,
That's how I want it. That
yep,
is perfect."
yep.
And I think it speaks to them being intentional with their entry passes, like, they probably are in practicing these entry passes. These is probably the focal point of their practices because they know that is the key to their success.
That's
Getting
right.
Audi the ball is the key to their success. So it was just they're very impressive. I mean, that a perfect 3rd quarter. I'm very impressed with them this season. I've always been an Audi Crooks stan, but just the more she develops as a player, it's just she's so light on her feet and she's so athletic and she knows how to utilize her size, and she actually, for a big and someone her size, she doesn't get in foul trouble.
That's kinda odd, you know that? Because, if I'm constantly being attacked, I would think there's an offensive foul probably within, you know, 10 for every 10, 15 entry passes, maybe there's an offensive foul because she moves bodies. I saw her move some bodies around down there.
She does
So
that power dribble
yep.
and gives you one of those.
Yep, yep, I've seen her move bodies around, so it's really interesting that she doesn't get many foul calls. I
Yeah.
mean, yesterday's game, I think there was what, you said 20 or so fouls,
It was,
called.
I think there was, maybe 10 more on Iowa, something like that, can't quite
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah, and those fouls accumulate to players being those fouls move to players being in foul trouble, and as you know, when you're in foul trouble, you tend to play differently. You don't
Yeah,
play as aggressively. You have to be like, you don't wanna foul out. You have to take a step back and say, "Oh, you know what? Just let them have that shot. I'll do something on the other end." But in terms of Audi not getting in many fouls, that is very interesting to me because she does move people. I mean,
yeah.
visibly moves people. It's not a light bump. She's twists and turns and people go the opposite direction.
Yeah, so while Iowa State shot about 10 more free throws, I believe, then, let's see, actually 5 more. Okay, that makes no, yeah, 8 more, sorry. 8 more free throws. Then Iowa had 20 to Iowa State's 15 fouls, so it wasn't that much of a
Yeah,
difference,
not that bad.
but you made the good point of when you get in foul trouble and you have to play differently. Hannah Stuelke got in foul trouble, and, I mean, if she thought she had trouble with Audi Crooks before she got in foul trouble, she really couldn't do anything,
Yeah,
when she got her 4th foul. Um, just out of curiosity, let's see how many fouls yeah, so Audi had 3 fouls last night.
yeah.
Pretty good.
That's real good. I mean,
Pretty.
given the amount of time she has the ball in her hands and where she is, you're under the basket, you're being double teamed,
Right.
and as I said before, she has a go-to move, and that go-to move, it, moves players. It moves
Yeah,
them around, and the refs
yeah.
don't call that. Not and I'm not saying they should, don't get me wrong, but I think other coaches would probably say they should, the opposing coaches. But yeah, it's very interesting that she does not get in foul trouble. And she had a couple instances on the other end where she blocked at least a couple shots where they could have called fouls as well.
Yeah, a little upper body, if you
Yeah,
wanna be a little ticky-tacky, but, I think I was appreciative that the refs were letting them play, I think on both sides of the court. Like I said, I didn't see it being too lopsided one way or the other. It just, it's just Audi Crooks, like, at
yeah,
the end of the day.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, God bless you if you think you're gonna shoot over her,
yeah,
but I probably wouldn't I wouldn't do try that too many times,
yeah,
I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah.
And sorry, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing I noticed, and just kind of almost changing gears here, I I struggled to find who was Iowa's go-to person.
Mhm.
I didn't see a lot of I mean, when Caitlin was there, we're gonna run the play and it's gonna go to Caitlin, you know, 80, 85, 90% of the time. I don't know what the percentage would be. But yesterday's game, I struggled to identify the go-to person. And so
I felt
it was offense by committee.
it was I get Chit Chat was the only one that had their offense going. To your point, were they drawing up plays for Chit Chat? Like, the point you're making? I don't necessarily think
I didn't
so.
see that.
Yeah, I don't think it was a automatic give it to Chit Chat and everyone clear out. It just felt like they just were just trying anything to help them get the ball in the basket or anything to help them get something going in the middle. So, yeah, to your point, I don't know if they have, like, their Audi Crooks or if they have their Lauren Betts or if they have their Hannah Hidalgo, right? I don't think they have that. And I don't think Iowa's even known for that though, right?
They're
That
not
like
known
you
for
said,
that.
Caitlin Clark's probably the only one we can really speak to in their history that I can remember, but they don't really have, like, their person. Like, "Oh, no, here comes so and so," right? Or we've got as the scouting report is that X over there at Iowa is gonna be, like, just vicious, other than Caitlin Clark, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but which is actually it's not a bad thing. Like, I think UConn's the same way. Even though I think Sarah Strong's the best player on UConn, everyone's good over there. And
Everyone's
that so sometimes it's not that bad that you don't have, like, a star player, and actually sometimes it might work in your favor that everyone is good because you can't just guard the main scorer and, you know, kind of force everyone to play your game. So, Iowa's just gotta figure out when they do play these teams with strong players like Audie Crooks, they've gotta figure out how they wanna defend.
well, and also too, the the other big part of it as well, how they wanna defend and how the coaches want to coach that game.
Yeah,
I don't know if you to today's, basketball, both men and women, everyone is more perimeter. And now you're running up against a team that is definitely more, sort of in the paint, set up in a half court, run that offense. Well, there are not many teams that you face that are like that. So what does
yeah.
the defense look like for that team? And that's what I'm saying. I saw a disconnect either in the coaching on the bench, and I don't know if they just didn't wanna address that issue in that way, and they're like, "Look, this is what we have to do for a half court," or do they wanna address it in, "This is what we're going to do to make the whole team uncomfortable since we play offense by committee, defense by committee." So it was really a confusing game in the first half. Second half, like I said, they sort of got it together. They realized, "Oh, you know what? It's all about in the paint, and it's all about Audi Crooks. So we're going to pack it in, double team her, and make her make a decision."
And by the way, Audie, who subs herself in and out. if
Yeah,
you've noticed.
yeah, yeah.
Takes her own break,
Yeah, yeah,
breaks her own
yeah,
break.
yeah, and look, if I'm coaching against them, if it were me, I'm gonna challenge her physical conditioning. I'm gonna
Yeah,
challenge her in that way. In other words, I'm gonna make her run, and I'm gonna make her defend.
yeah,
And on the offensive side, I am intentionally, not to hurt her or anything like that, I'm gonna frustrate her, I'm gonna foul her, I'm gonna send her to the line, at
yeah.
least to test her. Again, I continue to test her physical conditioning with a variety of different strategies.
Right, right. Just
I
kinda
I'm I'm doing that. Yeah, I have to.
getting her out of her comfort zone, right?
Absolutely,
Which is
absolutely.
under the basket on both ends of the floor.
On both ends of the floor. Absolutely.
I mean, you mentioned she's a junior, which is a little early, but maybe not really. But people are starting to ask, could Audie play at the next level, meaning the WNBA? Does her game translate to the WNBA? I still feel it's a little early because she's still developing herself as a player. Now, granted, she's getting the Alyssa Pilley comparisons. They have a similar game. Alyssa Pilley had a 3-point in her bag, so I think they have some slight differences, but I get why people are making the comparison. And Alyssa Pilley has yet to find success in the WNBA. She played with the Lynx for about a season and a half and then got waived and then got picked up by the Sparks, but didn't really get any playing time over there. I think Audi would be a good addition to the WNBA. I feel like she might be just a tinge undersized height-wise for the center position in the WNBA, specifically if she has to go against players like Camila Cardosa, Jonquel Jones. I'll put Brittany Griner in there, right? But again, it's not the end of the world. I think what she is gonna have to work on, what we talked about, conditioning. And no, I'm not talking about weight per se, because I know people are always on fat phobia alert because there are mean people out there. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, there are people out there that lose the plot.
Yeah,
When we're
yeah.
talking about conditioning, we're literally just talking about stamina.
Stamina.
I'm not talking about your body type. You can be any type of body type. We're literally just talking about stamina because, like I said, if you notice this last game, she kinda just subs herself in and out. She plays big minutes, please don't
She
get me
does,
wrong.
she does.
However, in the WNBA, I'm not sure a team is going to be able to accommodate in that way.
Yeah,
And also, I think the WNBA is a much faster game than college, and college is already fast. Again, I'm giving all the credit to a D1 player, but then you get to the WNBA and you're playing, as Diana Taurasi said, grown women.
yeah,
You're playing
yep,
grown women who
yep,
have families
yep,
and need to feed them, and they're not showing you any mercy. Out
yep.
here, you're playing maybe one player that might play professional, and the rest are gonna go on to be accountants. Um, and so I think that's just something Audi needs to, if she so desires to take it to the next level, just keep in mind and maybe work on the stamina and work on, if you do encounter an opponent that spreads the floor, work on your defense outside of the key, right? But what do you think? What are you seeing this early in her career as WNBA potential?
So, I personally think a team would draft her, first of all. And I personally think that depending on that team, there's a way to play her and manage her, to her conditioning while at the same time working on improving her conditioning. She has so much talent, particularly around the basket. And her, at least from what I've seen so far, her knowledge of the game and the way she plays and coaches the game when she's on the floor. And like you said, she told this one player, "Hey, that's the perfect entry pass. Get it in here just like that again, and I'll make it happen." So her basketball IQ, her physical ability, her talent level, I think she would be I think she is an NBA player and
WNBA.
I'm sorry, WNBA player, and the rest you can work on within a given program to get her to a place where if you want her to play more minutes, you condition her to play this many minutes. You want her to play beyond that, you condition her to play beyond that. So I think it's worth taking the chance,
Right.
getting her on a WNBA team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look forward to, that day when she enters the draft to see where she lands, what round. She's definitely making a case for herself that she could easily play at the next level, putting up these big numbers, playing these big minutes. Like, we talk stamina, but again, I'm giving all the glory and honor to her currently for playing the big minutes that she's playing, regardless of how many times she has to sub in and out. She's making it happen.
Yeah.
She's efficient. She can make free throws. I mean, if she gets a three-pointer in her bag, and I'm not saying everyone needs to be Sabrina Ionescu, but if she gets a three-pointer in her bag, she's gonna make it very, very difficult for people to guard her.
Yeah.
She's gonna be that much more dangerous.
Yeah. And if you look, if again, as I said, depending on the program she goes to, the team she goes to, if it's all about changing my strategy to where if I'm the coach that drafts her, changing my strategy to where when she's in there, it's a half court game and we're
Right.
punishing people in the paint. And
There
if
you
I
go.
can get, let's say 15 points, I'll be conservative. If I can get 15 points out of her doing that, and then she sits, a good bit of time, I think I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
she's not a huge liability on the defensive side. She does block shots. She does
Yeah,
play defense. She does have footwork.
yeah,
So if it's all about how that team that would draft her thinks and
yeah.
approaches the game of basketball.
I like that point. It's all about fit at the end of the
Yep.
day. And, you're right. She might, especially coming in as a rookie, serve as a great backup center or, for somebody, right? Give John Quell a break.
Yeah. 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 Or
Come
or
and give
or
Asia a little break. You
Or
never
or
know.
or or it's the Twin Tower phenomena, right? You have her in there paired with Aaliyah Boston, where you have Aaliyah Boston, is in there for the scoring side, and Audi's in there for scoring when it's available, but on the defensive side for blocking shots and making it very painful for people to go into the paint and try to score. So, I mean, we saw that with the Aces when they brought in,
Melissa.
Smith. When they brought her in, and all of a sudden it gave Asia a break on in terms of offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding, and Asia was left to do her thing. So again, it depends on how you think through this as a coach, as an organization, but given her talent, I think you take that chance.
I like that you brought up Aaliyah Boston. I actually like to see them play against each other because Aaliyah, the elbows,
Yeah.
but, Aaliyah, just her style of play tends to frustrate opponents, and she tends to get into it, get a little tied up, as they say, with opponents, so that would be very interesting. I have the mind of, or I have this thought of, I actually think Audi would frustrate Aaliyah more than Aaliyah would frustrate Audi.
Oh, definitely.
Audi is a freaking ray of sunshine. I don't think I've seen her frustrated for longer than maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah, yeah,
She is like Miss Sunshine, and I feel like Aaliyah Boston's all business, why so serious? And I feel like if those 2 had to match up, Aaliyah probably would be the more frustrated one. But to your point, it'd also be kinda cool to see them team up as well in
yeah.
like a twin tower type
That's
situation.
right.
So
That's right. That's right.
the possibilities are endless given your, it's all about fit argument, which I agree with.
Yeah, it is all about fit. And look, by the time she gets there, she's a junior now, next year is a senior. You have the expansion teams in place, right?
And
And
she might play 5th year, we don't know, you know how it
we
is
we
these
don't know.
days.
Well, look, she's getting enough NIL money. I'd have to think about whether I'd leave or not too. You know,
Right,
she's gonna take a pay cut going to the WNBA. Yeah.
right, and today, as it stands today,
As
for
it
sure.
stands today, she'd probably take a pay cut.
Yeah,
But I mean, those are things that need to be thought out. But and you can't help but see, and we're getting to another thing here. You can't help but realize the options she would have as well a year from now. Project B. Uh,
oh, yeah,
She's got a foundation she's running. So she can stay a 5th year, again, get more NIL, maybe get to a championship. We don't know at the college level. We don't
right,
know, but the options are there. These players have so many options now, particularly the greats, the good ones. So it could very well be in her mind, I'm not going to the WNBA.
right, right,
Not
right,
doing it.
not today.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We will see. So that wraps it up for our post-game review of Iowa and Iowa State. Again, such a good game, and more good games to come. Uh, Saturday, there is, Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. That's 23 Oklahoma State versus number 9 Oklahoma. UConn, number 1 versus 16 USC. Sunday, Baylor plays Texas. That should be a good
Should
game.
be a good
That's the
game.
number 13 seed versus the 2nd. We'll be there for it all. I can't wait because we live in Northern California. It's cold. It's dark. We have nothing else to do. We don't have lives. We'll be watching them all.
All of it.
All of it, and talking about it with all of you. So until then, have a good whatever you're having. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share,
Thank
comment,
Yes, please.
all that jazz. All that jazz, please and thank you. So until then, we'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Bye, folks.